This is a Kal Kat, the Calicaster. The the yeah, Robotech meets the Transformers Challengers is now rendering, so it is now finished, and it's going to be up online. This is a making of, I guess, kind of behind the scenes after thing. Watching it. I'll have to sit through the whole 3 hours later, but this is what's going to go online. So this is the YouTube version. So you don't need to do an extra thing on afterward. Oh, I really thought it was cool because I watched all of it all the way through and put all the little bits in. So Silly Kelly will be doing the third act too. Yes, which is weird because it's all me, but with different characters. This is Schizo or something. No. But yeah, instead of Cowpoke, Kelly is better at the. He puts more in, but less the facets of the different types of characters I play. He puts in. Cowboy just does it on the fly. It makes a lot of mistakes. That kind of making Kelly Kelly puts a lot of some extras, but he was restrained in this one. And yeah, but the efficiency that it did overload the Photoshop 2023. It couldn't take it. I'm not sure why Photoshop 2023 crashed. Fortunately, 15 still works. So we're using the older program from 8 years ago to write this, which is hilarious. It's still MP4. It's still but it's it's longer and then bigger file. 2023 crashed. Apparently, it crashed for everybody that bought it. It's a 2022 edition of 2023. And they keep saying, oh, wait, you can totally delete the various files and it'll fix it. No, it won't. It won't. It stops and crashes during. You could uninstall it and reinstall it. No, that doesn't work. Tried it twice. It remembers the old version even if you delete the old version, and it still doesn't. It'll render, but you can't play it when it's rendering which is not going to work. You have to be able to play it to watch it. Yeah. We should still be able to do the third act and Chimera as well. But first, let's worry about the third act, which is the third one. This was the darker chapter. This was Challengers. This was the middle act of a 3-act play, a vast 3-act play, modeled after the Robotech the Sentinels books from the 80s. Jack McKinney and a little bit of Macross, the later versions of Macross, a little bit of Macross 7 and Delta in there, a little bit of Frontier in there, but without the overarching songstress theme. It's kind of not in there. You could kind of say that it is, in the sense that the Invid Regis is kind of the siren in it, going around doing things. It's a thread throughout the thing. You could also say that the triumvirates they're multiple triumvirates. In the first one, you had the Regis and the Regent and Starsinger, and then this new Ritter guy at the end. And now you have the Regent and Ritter, and a little bit of everyone else, and the Regis. And kind of separated, but still not together. You have the Sterlings and the Sterling story, and when we were putting these stories together, we had this idea that we would do the T.L. Aaron's Testament, all of it. It's in here. It chose some episodes from it. We didn't do all of it. We chose some of the episodes from Testament. Some of them. Some of the less violent ones. But also we wanted to have the school scene and the counselor scene, and we wanted to have a home invasion scene and the potboiler cop detective Tolomsky dealing with the critters in it, the puppets, who are played by dollar store GI Joes. Actually, Bowie is too. It was gonna be a Roadblock figure from the newer line, the Reflector line that doesn't bend, but it didn't look right. It looked like Roadblock, so we couldn't use it. Also, the other Roadblock figure disappeared by the end of the story, so It's the teacher guy that shows up in the last scene, but that's okay because maybe he would. So that's fine. Chad will. But yes, yeah. There's a Tim-like character in it. The drums, I think his name. He's in it, and he's in the background trying to help people. But that's what Tim would do. Big Tim. There's the overarching theme of this episode was, detective story, cop story, trying to solve a crime story. People get taken in it. They get to solve it. That's interesting. It's a CSI Robotech. That's different from what the Sentinels did, but not unprecedented. The Sentinels books did have a couple episodes where people got lost and taken and stuff, and they had to go get them. So there were episodes like that. Also, the whole liberation idea of the Sentinels itself is kind of silly, so Kelly makes fun of it in there by having them not able to liberate much of anything because other stuff's going on. And sort of not dumbing down the characters, but kind of drugging the characters so that they can't actually accomplish the mission, because otherwise, if they did, the show would be immediately over. Yeah, so... So, now the Invid life force is explained a little more in the story. The protoculture, I think, they expanded on that. They definitely did. You have your Transformers and stuff like that that have adopted the Sentinel Master's energy, the Master energy, and the Invid energy, and they're good and dark. Well, light and dark, good and evil, kind of thing. And they're using it in this one, and it enhances their powers on this planet because there's Haydon 4, which is the planet of the guys. It's the planet of the robotic ones that were the Haydonites that later turned on them, and we get the it's a prequel in a way to Space Bridge, because you kind of get to see how the Regent met Apollonicus, and how he would later become Apollonicus in Space Bridge in the other timeline, and do the other thing later on, which is interesting in the 2040s. So he adopts the form of Apollonicus later. So I liked how they did that. That's cool. You could infer that from this story that he goes around as the Beast Hunters guy because he liked that form for some reason. Would make sense. He doesn't do that here, but you could imply that later on in the Space Bridge. The reason that Regent comes back as him is just a ha-ha to that guy. It was kind of annoying to him in this story. Even though it's a different timeline, even though it's a different story, you can infer that this is a prequel to that. But it's also a sequel because this is a different cast. And you don't need to know Space Bridge, but if you have to go see it, it's fun. James Spader type voice doing Regent, World War Fuzzy Face, going on about and the psychic powers is BS. People with psychic powers, just to say that straight out, that does not happen. People don't really read minds. What they're doing is cold reading and hot reading. Even fake magicians, illusionists, are using science in a way to pretend it's magic. The whole theme of the story. And the reason that the magic works on the planet is because of that life force that's everywhere, the flower of life. Of course, it goes back to the ship. Any Robotech fan would know immediately. Oh, the protoculture, the planet, yeah. Okay, yeah, they would get it. It's not a hard story to follow. It's not. You would get it right away. Oh, the protoculture and the flowers and the life cycle of that. Even though in the Japanese version, it's different. The Japanese version, the flowers of life, do call it the Inbit, but in a different way, and they're not related to the protoculture. That's just something they added in the American version. The protoculture in the American version is a fuel. This version, it's both, just to clarify. Okay, it's Macross, but it's the culture that developed the planet. It's also that. It's the Myrid culture, you see, the Myrid, which goes back to the original series, the Transformers 86 Phantom. which you don't need to know about, but you can see on YouTube, and I narrated it and talked about it. So, it is on YouTube. So yeah. Oh, yeah. A creepier chapter, we have an evil bad guy doing a sort of Mark Hamill Joker voice, more so than Starscream, sort of, I'm evil, and we have goofy stuff here. This will be added to the making of the next episode, I guess. You could just put that there, because that's kind of afterthoughts. You put it in there, it's fine. At this point, we didn't even want even previews for this miniseries. We just want to put this miniseries out. Part of that is because of the WGA SAG-AFTRA writer strike still going on for months. And we felt like, why should we advertise one of our own fan films on our website if we're not getting paid anyway? So, it's free. So, we don't need to advertise. It's all coming out. Here it is. Yeah, so we do that. Just watch it in solidarity to the strike. Even though we're not in the WGA or the SAG-AFTRA, but yeah, didn't work out. It was a long time ago, but yeah. But yeah, so some of us, but yeah, kind of tough to find a literary agent when nobody knows who you are. Well, now that I have thousands of videos out, they know who I am. So. But yes, I become my own agent and editor. Great. Now I'm my own producer. Now what do? I'm a producer. Okay. On the studio system at all, so don't worry about it. Don't PM me or something. You can't anyway. Yeah, so it's like, but the overall the story, the Tail Aaron story, he did a lot of these Testament type stories on there. I think he's kind of disturbed. Granted, can you separate the author from the Ellis said years ago on her blog? Can you separate the author from the author's work? I think you can in this case because it's been heavily edited and they took out all the really bad stuff. I think he had issues and he was like, I want to get rid of these counseling issues by writing fan fiction where I'm the hero who goes and saves the girl and stuff. That's kind of what's going on. And if you boil it down to just that and you have them threatened but never actually hurt, then it's fine. You're saying, okay, these characters in this story are acting on a play on a stage, and none of it's real. It's not really their real issues. It's a fictional universe. Then it's fine. Nothing like that happened over here. But yeah. The ages are a little flummoxed, which we kind of retcon. We repair in part 2 by saying 2 years have gone by in the universe when they get to book 3. But yeah, it's so just to make everybody a little older by about a year, because the time flex fixes it. They got to go back to the other. The Invid planet is actually closer. This planet is about 12 light years from Earth. It's either Tau Ceti or Alpha Indus or Epsilon Indi or one of those. It's closer. It could be Procyon, but it's not Cirrus because it's 12 light years. It could be Procyon. It's probably Procyon, in which case they're going to go to Barnard. And what else is, they can go to Barnard. That's where they did homework with. Not officially. In Robotech, they never officially found it. They put it hundreds of light years away at the Southern Cross. But I figured it out. I figured it out roughly. I said, if you draw an asteroid of the local stars from the vantage point of Earth, and you got Alpha Centauri down here, and you got Barnard over here, and you got Procyon up here, kind of makes a cross. So what they were seeing as the Southern Cross from their vantage point down there wasn't really, so it works. And this way would be Alpha Indus and Sirius and the other planet. It works way better if the planets are closer than they were in Robotech. So it is fudged because they can't get there. They cannot travel hundreds of light years. They can't. They're limited by how far the Transformers can take them with their technology. These planets are close by. It has to be close by. And still, it took them 5 years to get to Kentaris originally because they didn't have proper fault system. The second time, it took them a couple months. It wasn't years, a couple months to get to this other planet, even though it was further away. But it was in their direction on the Astros. So it was kind of coasting toward the other star. Now to get to this other one, which is closer to the Sol, they have to go this way. And they'll also launch a liminal ship that'll take 6 years to get home. But that's just to make everybody the right age when they get out. They don't have to do that. There may be 2 endings of Part 3 in which they decide, oh, the ship actually, they actually did get back quickly, and you could get back quickly too, you just didn't. I could do that too. Or I could say like, oh, they're actually, older Dana's not that much older. You could say, well, older Dana is this story is 17, and you could say that instead of 15, and you could just kind of fudge it the other way if you want to in the next one. You could have 2 endings. Just decide. We'll see. But yes, the D.L. Ahrens story. Yeah, this thing is getting really green. It's getting really, its color is getting weird. There's a white backdrop. Yeah, this is the other camera, and it has a lot of trouble with the backdrop. Huh. It's weird. It's sort of. Anyway, Six Zor wasn't in this one, and neither was the Dinobot. They were just in the other one. They might come back in the next one, but we'll see. So some of the Transformers remain behind, probably to go ahead to the other planet. This one shows the Haydonite planet and establishes that retcons the Tommy Yoon stories to say not all of the Haydonites could have been evil, because that makes no sense. Why would the Sentinels deal with them if they were actually evil? How about some of them were, and the ones that were evil threatened to flee to the other timeline? But like people like Ritter, basically the Ritter, the hunter, they threatened the fleet. Yeah, it wasn't all of them. It was just one of them, or 2 of them, or a small group of them. A small group, a microcosm, macrocosm, Transformers. Planet Master is the Master's planet. That's very clever. That's not how it actually happened, but here it is. The Headmaster planet, basically. Headmasters, Target Masters, and all the rest. The Master planet was Centaurus, which makes sense because it'd be the other Centaurus planet. That's what Cybertron is. It's supposed to be in the Centauri system because it's close by. How else would you teleport a planet across light years? And I know the pilot doesn't make any sense. Transform a whole planet. I mock that in the Transtech, like Transformers from Robotech. Yeah, and so here we have, I'm trying to stay on target. Here we have a story that basically the Rick Hunter and crew are at the mercy of this planet that does this space drug, that stuff. The whole thing is like a PSA. It's an 80s PSA. Say no to drugs, kids. It's literally that. That's hilarious. That's the message. Hey, it's got a message. It's a sci-fi story. It's modern age, Say no to space drugs. But yes, not as many action scenes, but I don't think it needed it. It was more of a psychological thriller thing, but yeah, who's fooling? It's a parody, but it's dark comedy / horror. There are horror scenes. It's wide 14, probably PG-13. Doesn't get any more serious than that. Yeah, Ahrens, we had to cut out all the horrible stuff. We couldn't put that on YouTube. But yeah, we toned it down. And there's some of it's in there. That you may think, did he just add the Chronicles of Narnia and a Lion as a well, that is a gag. But it's also in the story. There's a character called Aslan. It's an Aslan in it. So I figured he just meant for that to be Aslan, so it is. But yes, I don't know how to give you Well, see, Disney, Marvel, they don't mind. See, Marvel is still related to Transformers in some way, so they're okay with it. Also, the Robotech people are okay with these parodies because, well, Armin Agama died. So, yeah, he's no longer running the show saying, oh, I want to keep all this stuff for over 30 years and not do anything with it. Hint at the end. The story is dedicated to any various creative voice actor, whatever person. I didn't want to dedicate it to anyone specific, and certainly not to Armin Agrama, who was kind of an a-hole and kept the stories locked down for like over 30 years and didn't want to release them and do action figures and make money. I'm not sure why he didn't want to make money. If he'd released, all the other versions of Macross in American television, we would all have them. Basically, the bootleg industry would be half there because we would have the real ones. Just go out and watch them. Don't do bootleg. But the idea is that the bootleggers were after Robotech and other Japanese anime, and they would need it. They would need to be bootleggers. It'd be free. It'd be kind of like the drug they're on. If it was free, they wouldn't. Which is also a misnomer about that too, because you have there are some Schedule 1 drugs you don't want to take because they will be addictive. So yeah, you want to regulate. Yeah, that's it. Regulate. Like they regulate booze or pot. They regulate it and make sure that but this alien drug in the story is dangerous and it fucks you up and makes you hallucinate and stuff, trip out. The lotus eaters type of thing. The lotus is really opium. It's in the story. It's not really in the story. It's a space ecstasy, basically. It's pretty much. It's not named after anybody. In the script, it was called Joys, so it's called Joys here. The Joys, not named after anybody at all. No, it was T.L. Ahrens came up with that. Also, he came up with Tilomsky. Thanks for Tilomsky. And the other one, Ritter was from Stormy and Stormy and She-Ra before. So they had two. He kept reappearing, and the Regis, of course, is the Regis. The different stories that were. They must have had some kind of writer's room on that thing. You tapped into it with these because they're all kind of related. They went together. And you put some of our Robotech witticism in there too as well. Stuff for basically all the stuff with Hunter and crew and Max and Exodor, Bretai and everything are scenes from the Sentinels books that were put in this. Well, I embellished on them from memory. They're probably wrong, but they are scenes like them having trouble with Haydon 4 and having trouble with Sirius and the Syrians and getting trapped, and actually Jack and Karen getting lost on the planet is actually in the books. That's actually there, and they find them later. The Bretai and Exodor staying at the end on the planet and something happening to them is in the books. Yeah. Yeah, so it follows them. So yeah, so everything that goes on is the Dana stuff isn't in the books, but she wasn't there. Yeah, it was somebody else. They just had somebody else playing her. Also, there is an Easter egg with Min-Mei. Apparently, she is running the restaurant on the ship. She's running Min-Mei's restaurant on the ship. She had a different life in this universe. Running a restaurant. Okay. Probably with her husband Kyle. And apparently, which is her cousin, which is gross. Or maybe they're divorced. And Rick Hunter took in the cousin, Kyle, Min-Mei's child. Yeah. But yeah, and no one knows what happened to Jason from Min-Mei. Oh well. Anyways, Jason Min-Mei. But yeah, no one knows. Anyway, that's it.